Hey guys, Robert here, and today I just want to go over a few of my favorite apps on Android for language learning on the go. For brute memorization, my go-to app is Anki-Droid, which is the Android version of Anki, and right now I have 4 decks here for German, French, Japanese, and Chinese. So how it works is basically it shows you the English term, and then you try to come up with the translation, and you click Show Answer, and then you select a choice based on how difficult it was for you to remember the translation. And it's spaced repetition, so it shows you the term again after a certain amount of time. And that varies depending on what choice you select. I found it really useful for just mastering brute vocabulary, so it doesn't really work for much else, but it's really effective for what it does. You can also go to statistics and see how much you've learned, forecast, review count, so how many words you've reviewed, intervals, breakdown, all of that. You also have a night mode, so if you're trying to study at night, it's not that hard on your eyes. But otherwise, it's a pretty basic app, but it's pretty effective. So the main alternative to using Anki and spaced repetition is probably Quizlet, and an advantage to Quizlet is the large selection of sets already available. So for whatever text we're using, there's probably already sets created for it, so you don't have to manually create a set and type in the terms. So I found this amazing collection of sets for preparing for the French C1 exam, and the features in Quizlet are probably more expanded and fun than Anki, and there is a flashcard mode where you can start terms, you can play the pronunciation, and there's also a learn mode, which is basically Anki, but you type in the translation instead of selecting how familiar you are with the term. There's also a matching game, and a test mode, so you can create a test, and then it's pretty similar to the learn mode. I found the flashcard and the learn mode to be the most helpful. However, I would only suggest using Quizlet for sets under 200 terms. Above that, there's too many, and because there's no spaced repetition, you're likely to forget the translations. In terms of reading comprehension, you really can't go wrong with Amazon Kindle. So the reason why I like it so much is because it offers a wide selection of books in a large number of languages for free. So right now I have downloaded Crime and Punishment, The Brothers Karamazov, Jane Eyre, War and Peace. So these are in German and French, but there's also other popular languages available. And if you can't find a book, you probably will be able to find it in the country-specific Kindle stores. So something that I like to do is, if I come across a word that I don't know, I really like to highlight all of them, and then, well, it shows you the definition, the translation, and all of that, but if I like to highlight it, and then after I finish reading a chapter, I'll go back and then export all these words into Anki or Quizlet, which are memorization apps, so I can learn them, which is really useful for test preparation. And then if you are struggling to come up with words to learn, reading these classics is often really helpful because there's higher level vocabulary in there. So for listening comprehension, I really enjoy using the Audible app, and right now if you sign up for a Prime free trial, you get 3 books free in Audible. So I've chosen these 3, and you can practice listening to the books standalone for listening comprehension, see if you can understand all the words and get the general idea of the book, or you can listen along with the Kindle version so you can hear the pronunciations of the words. And in the interface, you can go backwards and forwards in time, and you can set the speed, so if it's not right for you, if it's too fast or it's too slow. You can change it, and then you can also set bookmarks, so overall it's really easy to use, and the books are really high quality. One of the best ways to improve listening comprehension without spending money on audiobooks is to listen to podcasts. So my preferred app is called Pocket Casts. It's $4, but there are free alternatives available. So you can either look up the top or trending podcasts in a country, or just use the app itself. Pocket Casts will display the top or trending podcasts in the language your phone is set to, so because it's in English right now, it displays the top podcasts in the US, but it will work for Germany, France, Spain, or whatever other country. So these are my preferred podcasts for German and French. And the interface is pretty simple. You just download the podcast and then you can listen to offline, and the features are probably the same as any other podcast app. So the next app is Duolingo, which most of you are probably already familiar with, as it's become really popular over the past few years. However, a large misconception about the app and website in general is that it'll bring you to fluency, which it absolutely will not, and the percentage of fluency in the app and website is pretty misleading in that sense because the vocabulary is really basic and many of the grammar concepts aren't really reinforced. However, it does serve as a really good stepping stone into whatever language you're trying to learn, and after you finish the skill tree, with some additional reinforcement, you'll probably be able to easily start a B1 course in that language or start self-studying with textbooks and grammar books. Right now I'm learning Dutch in the app and I'm almost done with the skill tree. So one of my favorite apps is actually HelloTalk, which is basically social media for languages. It brings you into contact with natives of the language you're trying to learn, and it's really useful if you don't live in the country where your language is spoken in. So the interface is pretty similar to WeChat. It has most of the functions you would expect. You can type messages, add photos, emojis, speak, record things, translate the messages other people send you, and then you can basically chat with other people, find other people to chat with based on your interests, see what the people you follow have posted. Yeah, it's really basically a social media app. One of the dictionaries that I use is called Dict.cc, so there's a paid version as well as a free version. Both versions offer a large selection of languages in language packs. So you have English to all of these languages, as well as interlanguage translations, dictionaries, so basically you can have Albanian to Bosnian or French to German. So that's really useful if you're trying to learn multiple languages at the same time. So if you opt for the paid version, you get these three features: My Vocabulary Quiz Game and Vocabulary Trainer. So I'll demonstrate the vocabulary feature for you. So if you basically look up a term, you can add it to the vocabulary list if you don't know it, and then you can go back to it later. It's saved for you there, and then you can export it to an external memorization app, or you can use the built-in vocabulary trainer. So basically it tells you the term and then you type in the translation. And then you can see whether you're correct or not, and then if you do it correctly 5 times, it'll count as mastered. So a really simple way for vocabulary acquisition. There's also a quiz game, so if you're at, say, the C1 level in a language and you're struggling to come up with vocabulary terms to study, then basically this app pulls terms from the entire database and then it just feeds them to you in a game, and then basically it's a quiz. Although it doesn't offer many other features, but it's good for developing vocabulary beyond vocabulary lists. The most useful dictionary app on Android is probably Lingui because it offers the unique feature of context-based searches. So it offers many of the same features as Dict.cc, and it's completely free. So there's a wide variety of languages available, as well as Asian languages. And you can also download offline dictionaries, just as in Dict.cc. However, aside from the full dictionary definition, you also have context-based searches. So basically, once you type in a word or a phrase, this works with more complex phrases as well. You can see how it's used in a sentence or a paragraph. So this is pulling directly from web pages. So this works especially well for languages like German, where sentence structure is really complex, so just getting the dictionary definition often doesn't help that much when you don't know how to use it in a sentence. Something I like to do is to record my own voice while reading a book or an article and then upload it to the Judge My Accent subreddit. So basically, their natives of the language you're trying to learn will judge your accent based on how you're pronouncing the words and then give you suggestions on how to improve. So this is really useful if you're not in contact with natives and you don't have opportunities to practice speaking. This one is pretty obvious, but clearly Google Translate is an essential for language learning, and it works really well for single word translations, as well as when you're trying to translate a word really quickly into multiple languages at once and you don't want to pull up dictionaries. So you can also download offline language packages for offline translation, and you can also start turns for later. So that's it, guys. Those are my top apps for language learning on Android. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and see you next time.